guys, I'm Mandeep from the Hungry Orchid, and I am here today with Ashlee Lena from Beans and Bars, and she is here today talking about her business. But before we get to that, let's talk about your story and how you got to where you are today.
Perfect. So originally, I'm from Compton, California.
Okay.
I'm very proud Comptonian in the building.
Yes.
So growing up in Compton to me was great. I mean, I know a lot of the images that were portrayed, and that is a lot of people's truth. But for me, my parents, although we lived in Compton, I didn't feel like I was like in some type of like concrete jungle that I couldn't get out. I mean, if my brothers used to pick me up from school, from elementary school and kindergarten. I have two older brothers.
Okay.
In a wagon. So if you've ever seen a girl in a wagon with one brother pulling the wagon and the other brother holding an umbrella over her head, that was me. I was the princess of Compton. That's how at least I felt growing up.
And then you guys moved out. What was that like?
Moving out was definitely shock. You're moving into neighborhoods where everybody has pools.
Was it a culture shock?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I say it all the time. I have countless stories of, like jokes about black people, and I'm not really getting the punchline because I came from black people, so now I'm getting it from other people.
Yeah.
I mean, even small things of going to pool parties and my hair shrinking up, and everybody else is not shrinking up. Or
Are we talking predominantly white neighborhoods?
Correct. Predominantly white,
okay.
Predominantly Asian, a mix of Asian and white, and being the fly in the buttermilk, definitely experienced that. But it was enriching, and I mean, if anything, I thank my parents for giving me the dynamic of both.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's socialized me. I'm totally comfortable in both environments.
Yeah.
I mean, I can acquiesce to either or, so it's all good.
Let's get into your relationship with hip-hop.
Yes.
So, okay, for the nice people out there who may not know the difference between hip-hop and rap.
Sure.
Because we have a diverse audience.
Got you. Uh-huh.
So, can you speak to that?
Sure. So, hip-hop is the culture of it. So, it's your baggy jeans, it's your DJ, it's your graffiti.
Breakdancing.
Yes, breakdancing. That is hip hop. It's a culture.
Yeah.
Rap is an element of it, you know, and that's really like the difference.
And so when did you first get introduced to it, and what drew you to it?
Sure. I had an older brother who one of them was really into it and then one was just into it, right? So he played Public Enemy, KRS-One, African Bambaataa. Shout out to Donovan. Thank you for turning me on. My parents really tried to shelter me from anything that had explicit lyrics. I couldn't even watch Def Comedy Jam, even though I used to sneak and watch it. I definitely could not. So rap was definitely they tried to shield it from me.
Yeah.
But the story is that I had a cousin that was home, and we were getting dressed to go out, and that's when we had the box, and you were allowed to, call in and request music, and I fell in love with Junior Mafia that night, and sitting home and learning it word for word, and then at that point, that was, I guess, the beginning of my love for hip-hop.
So what do you have to say to people who, criticize rap for having, like, violent undertones?
Sure. Okay, no problem. Is this the camera? Yeah, so turn the station. You don't have to listen to it. If you don't like it, then don't listen to it. I mean, I grew up with Marilyn Manson, was pretty popular in my senior year. I didn't stage a protest or stand in. It wasn't what I was feeling. I didn't listen to it. And at that time, the violence in hip-hop was very much reflected on what was going on socially. Correct. So
I think that's something that a lot of people overlook.
Sure.
Like the LA riots. Like, nobody ever thinks about the context of how the music, where it's coming from.
Absolutely.
It's like reality is reflected in art.
It's reflecting. So that's when you have like that what they call like a trickle up effect. So if that's what was going on in the streets, that's what trickled up. And I mean, it was a bad period. You're talking about the riots. You're talking about Rodney King. You're talking about, rest in peace, Natasha Harlins. All that stuff was going on. So if we felt like fuck the police was what it was, then that's just what it was.
Yeah.
But the beautiful thing, the beauty in hip hop is that hip hop is just like a person. It matures, it evolves. And so even though in this time period right now, we're definitely still very much in this, I don't know, where you're feeling tyrannized and persecuted and just like really messed with by the system, you know what? It's just like we're in our greatness right now. So we're not going to say fuck the police. We're going to do it a little bit different. We're going to take a knee. And then that'll get our message across. Just the same, we're going to organize. We're going to support Black Lives Matter. You know what I'm saying? But we're still going to, it's a change. I'm getting excited about it because I'm thinking about it. No.
I love it.
Because it's almost to me like what's going on in the culture of hip hop is it's almost like I'm thinking like the Harlem Renaissance. It's like Black excellence coming back again. Mm-hmm. And even during that time where we had unity. So after all that stuff happened, like in the mid 90s and all that stuff in the early 90s and the late 80s, where we had unity, but it was still like a very downtrodden time where we felt almost like helpless. And
so it wasn't. You're saying the empowerment is kind of alive and
at
its peak right now.
I love it's stepping into it. I mean, we're stepping into this greatness again. It's no different like when we had like the Black Panther movement, you know, and Black Pride and all that stuff, but it's reflecting in our music. So instead of like, fuck the police, I mean, it's still...
And I feel like it needed to go through
It needed to go through that.
To get
to this point.
No,
for us to totally recognize the excellence that we hold and step into that. We're Tyler, the Creator. I'm feeling like glitter. You know, Rick Ross is taking us to Santorini, Greece. It's a different time. So it's still F the police, but it's just kind of on a different... We're dealing with it different.
Before we get to Beans and Bars, tell us about your top 5 rappers.
Top 5, which the list is always changing. So let me just say that. Because, I mean, I can like you today and not like you tomorrow. That's just how I am. So, I'm going to say the first 4. So the story behind my mugs is that the first 4 I came out with were the first 4 lyricists that I fell in love with.
These are based on your most favorite
artists. These were my most favorite, with the exception of Jay-Z. Jay-Z is also not on here, but at the time, Jay-Z was not my favorite. So I'm talking, this is my story of when I first loved. I mean, Snoop is like hometown. He just represents everything LA to me, and I just love him. Pac, of course, he's what every girl dreams of. He's the lyricist, and he's a thug, and he's smart. Like, oh yeah, that's Daddy right there. And and then also Nas, who just... I mean, that's Daddy right now, too. But, I mean, he's always feeding knowledge. He's an excellent storyteller. And then Biggie, who was absolutely the first that I actually fell in love with. And then you said the top 5. So that 5th is always rotating. So right now, I'm going to give it to Kendrick because he's putting Compton. Well, he did. He's put Compton back on the map. And I just love everything about him.
So tell us about, we talked a little bit about the mugs, but tell us, like, the overarching, like, what is Beans and Bars?
Sure.
And why Beans and Bars? Do people know what bars means?
Okay, so dun-dun.
let's get to the basics.
Right, so Beans and Bars. Beans, obviously, for coffee beans. Bars, because it's a hip-hop lyric, is a bar. My thing is this. If you go to any coffee shop, from here to... I don't know, Baghdad, they're all the same. They, especially like our big brands, like your Starbucks, your Tea Leaf. I think that coffee shops should be more reflective of the neighborhood that they serve. Mm-hmm. And that's what I want to do with Beans and Bars. When I want to come in a coffee shop, I don't want to always listen to John Mayer or, you know, any of the other folky Alanis Morissette coffee shop music. I mean, their music is great, but that's not always what I want to listen to. I want to give something back to the community. I want it to be festive. I want a place where local artists can find refuge and perform. You know, I want you to get history and knowledge on hip-hop while you're inside. So that's where the concept of Beans and Bars came from. And I would say my most difficult thing right now, because I am a mobile concept, I'm a pop-up shop, is to kind of convey that message in a mobile atmosphere. And I'm trying, and I'm doing the best I can, and right now it's working. But eventually I would like to open up a brick and mortar.
I do think coffee shops are very one way.
Yeah.
I've never been to any type of coffee shop that is anything along the lines of what you're talking about.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I want to be to hip-hop what Rock and Roll Cafe or Hard Rock Cafe is to rock and roll, you know? Like, my drinks are really good. They're even better with alcohol in it. So, I mean...
Do they include alcohol?
They do. Okay. So when I am booked for a private party, we do add alcohol. A drizzle drink is not a drizzle drink without bourbon.
Yes.
A Cypress Hill isn't a Mexican coffee without tequila. So, you know, they really taste good with the alcohol in it. And I hope to one day be able to bring that into fruition for everyone to experience.
Sounds like you are in the sort of infant stages
Very
of your
infant
business, which is perfectly, so am I.
Uh-huh.
So how, I guess, are you kind of supporting yourself and your business in the meantime?
Sure. So what I do is totally different from what I want to do, right? So this is my creative outlet.
Yeah.
I'm an insurance agent by day.
And how are you enjoying that?
Boring.
How did you even end up there?
I don't know.
Why insurance agent?
Checking. I would say chasing a check. Like that it was really lucrative. It's been lucrative, but again, like when your passion's not in it, like it's not even lucrative for me anymore. It's just like, okay, I'm making ends meet.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Like it's sustaining me, and it's gonna sustain me until it's time for me to move on and do this full time. And I feel it. It's coming. I made a deal to myself. I was living in Chicago and I moved back at the end of the year last year. And the deal that I made with myself is, Ashlee, we're not going to do anything else that is not fulfilling to my heart and to my soul and to my spirit. So I actually wrote it out. I said, Ashlee Lena will not do anything else, and I signed that. And that was the contract to myself, and I'm standing by that. I mean, I come from old school parents who are like, what about your 401k and retirement? They're really worried about that. But one thing I know is that God shows me favor. He makes a way. He continues to make a way. And I trust and believe in that it's a way is going to be made.
Yeah. I come from immigrant parents, so it's especially important to them that there is a plan and there is certainty around what's happening, as far as a source of income.
Sure.
So it becomes really, really difficult to explain that sometimes you do just need to have faith. And I feel like things just work, especially if your heart is in it.
Absolutely.
You're just going to keep going, and if one avenue doesn't work, it's just a means to an end, but you kind of experiment until you find the right fit, and then
that's right. And then that's it.
If you're passionate about
sure.
it, I think it's just very likely that you will eventually succeed.
Right.
So, I mean, that's just how I see it.
Totally.
Yeah.
I just read a book by C.T. the God, Charlemagne the God.
Black Privilege?
Ooh, did you read it?
I have not read it yet, but I have been on Charlemagne the God since day one.
Yes.
I love.
Yes.
Although he says some ignorant stuff, I don't always agree with
right.
him, but I think he's funny as hell.
Yeah.
And I think this shift towards, wait a minute, we haven't even heard of this term called black privilege.
No.
It's always been white privilege.
Yeah.
Why do we frame it this way? And yes, the system is, like, we do live in a white, spearheaded, I guess, system, but we never ever.
No.
What did you think about it?
And that's what I was talking about, like the whole stepping into our excellence. Like,
yes.
No, we can shift the narrative on this. It doesn't always have to be like, I'm so sad. Like we're stepping into that.
I think it's important to acknowledge like what is stacked against you, but
sure.
despite that, look at our excellence.
Despite that,
oh, I love
look
it.
at that. I mean, I don't know if you've ever really paid attention to like Black Twitter, but we will take like the most
Twitter. I don't get it.
So check this out. I don't tweet, but I creep. So I look,
okay.
And Black Twitter is like hilarious to me. Like, so anytime there's a hashtag and something going on, like we shift it and we make it a joke. You know what I'm saying? And we see it, we get it. The oppression is there, but that's not where we're at mentally. And I think that book did that for me. Like, it really just kind of taught me to just stick to my lane. Like, if this is not my lane, he talks about it. Like, one of the chapters is like, fuck your dreams. And that's not, and the ... is if they're not yours. And, I think sometimes, especially, we're taught, like, to be a doctor, but that may not be everybody's conquest. In the end, is to be a doctor. And it's just really about standing in your lane, knowing your privilege, and moving forward from that.
Okay, amazing. And where can people find you online, all that kind of stuff? Your Instagram, your Twitter, all of it?
Okay, so you can find me at www.beansandbars.com. You can find me on IG at Beans and Bars Coffee. The same with Twitter, which I don't tweet, but I'm working on that, so bear with me. And the same thing on Facebook. It's Beans and Bars. I want everyone to know that I am a 30-something black woman who loves hip-hop, who loves coffee, who has a story just like anyone else. You're in a job that's kind of unfulfilling, and you're just following your dreams one baby step at a time.
All right. Thank you so much again for being
Thank you.
here.
Of course. Thank you for having me. Yay.
All right, guys. You know the drill. Like this video, comment below. We talked about hip hop. Let's have them comment about hip hop. Like, tell us about your relationship with hip hop, and also be sure to subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you. Bye.